What is up, everybody? Welcome to TNT Championship 2020.2. I am Delthius. How's it going, guys? I am doing well. A little bit tired. Been raiding a lot this week in old classic WoW. We killed Cthulhu, though, so that's pretty cool. But we got some really good matches lined up for you today here. Some exciting matches from round 6 of the two different premier groups. We're going to start with QQ versus Marmu here. Winner goes into the quarterfinals, and then we're going to move on to Melvin Fro versus Araloo, who are fighting for the first place position in their groups. So I'm really excited, man. Marmu is one of these players that I think has really stepped up his game recently here. And QQ's always a bit of a wild card, man. So it's going to be cool to see what he pulls out. I think QQ is probably a pretty good player for this format, you know, best of 7 style, since he typically does some pretty crazy stuff. So let's hop into it, guys, without any further ado. Let's kick it off with match number 1. My controller works. There we go. All right, spawning on the right, we've got QQ. His opponent to the left, Marmu. Alright, nice big map here. Maybe that'll lead us more to a macro game. Both players have moles, though, and QQ's deck composition here seems like he wants to be a little bit aggressive. You know, he's got the snakes in case he's got to counter some sort of tier 3, where his opponent goes for a lot of heavy tier 2. He's got the skunks to deal with a lot of tier 1, but surprisingly, Marmu not running squirrels at all. I actually need to turn down the game volume just slightly. It's a bit loud for me. My little headphones here. There we go. That should be a bit better. So let's see how they want to start things off. I mean, we could see a little bit of mole harassment. Doesn't look like either of these starting positions really have those key spots, you know, for some pre-8 farm mole shenanigans. A lot of times you want like a ledge. Well, I guess, you know, like right there would have been okay. Water slowing it down a bit, but no. Either player going to take the risk. Just going to go ahead and get up to 8 farms fairly quickly, and we'll see how the game progresses from here. I'm actually pretty excited that this map is so large, and it's very even, to be honest. Oh, that is annoying. Marmu going to force back that a little bit of a forward warren there from QQ with that mole warren. Yeah, I mean, this is a big, balanced, even map. You know, both sides have access to 4 bases. Neither player really looks like they have a distinct advantage, even from high ground or anything like that. What could be interesting later on, you know, if we do get a macro game here and QQ doesn't necessarily go hardcore on the ferrets, but kind of sprinkles them in. You know, imagine he's got this base. If you notice on the mini-map right here, there's no ramp, or a bit of an awkward ramp to get all the way around. So some ferret harassment, you know, shooting from like there over to Marmu's position to the west could be quite annoying, but so far some safe openings for both sides. Marmu actually going for 4 tier 1 versus the 3 tier 1 of QQ into a quick expansion. He feels like he's under the gun a little bit. Gonna go ahead and sell it off and turtle up for now. And on the back of this, you know, a little bit of feigned aggression. Marmu takes his own mill, so nice little bit of economic tempo in Marmu's position. He's going to be able to start saturating up that second base a little bit faster, but at the end of the day, still no harm, no foul. And, you know, Marmu, without any squirrels here, QQ's got the toads. He knows Marmu's running pure lizard. These toads can be very annoying. Look at all these mines that just came out. I think QQ got the scout on that. Pretty sure he saw a couple of those mines building, but Marmu still does have the option to do something like build, you know, just a single mole warren and try to get those moles to trade with the toads, you know, because these toads here are actually... Oh my god, does QQ not see the mines? Damn. Not crazy cost effective, but it is going to slow down this attack from QQ. No, QQ is going to go in anyways, and Marmu kiting with those lizards a little bit. If you are very careful, you can try to detonate toads with your lizards without taking too many losses, but QQ's going to keep this aggression on. I really expected him to back up after running into all those mines. There's actually 5 mines for 4 squirrels, so the trade goes to QQ a little bit, but those mines did slow this attack down. And QQ's not pulling any punches, man. Building some moles here on the front line. Marmu's going to match suit. He's going to utilize this longer range from the squirrels to just poke down this mill. And threaten with these toads every time the lizards come in to harass. And now the moles are showing up on the front line. This mill is definitely going to go down. And QQ's looking for a quick win here. Moving forward, going to run these toads into the mole warrens. Just say no more moles for you. Wonderful play to keep the momentum up. And now Marmu just doesn't have the warrens left over. He did try to get that boar going, but not going to get out in time. And a nice quick win there from QQ. Oh man, did I... Oh no, I'm messing everything up. There we go. That looks good. Good to see everybody. Hope y'all are having a wonderful Friday night. Maybe next week I'll get a feast in and try to do some tournament stuff on a different day than on Friday. Keep that rolling as well. So yeah, let's keep on going here. Match number 2. Up in the top right, we've got QQ. And his opponent down in the bottom left, Marmu. Alright, this map definitely looking a little bit better here for Marmu. This time around, looks like pretty similar decks. Marmu not bringing the mines or lizards this time around. Going to go ahead and grab those squirrels. And again, QQ rocking that exact same build. This is kind of a cool playstyle from QQ. I like this deck a lot, you know. It wants to be aggressive. These toads are a little bit underutilized nowadays, but still do a really good job, as we just saw there. You know, that crit damage on the warrens. You're knocking out some warrens immediately. That can really turn the tides in aggressive play. Marmu scouting out the quick warren from QQ, gonna go ahead and respond in suit. But a lot of times in these rush situations, it does come down to if the aggressor can manage to pick off a warren or so, you know. If you trade evenly or even a little bit behind, but you picked off a warren with your attack, now all of a sudden your opponent's capabilities to reinforce are very limited. And toads can really help get that job done. You know, you combine toads with moles, man. That's like the perfect storm of just hamstringing your opponent with aggressive maneuvers. So, let us continue on. Did I? Oh, I think the music has just stopped for a moment. I was kind of curious. Alright, so it looks like QQ is going to go ahead and grab that Expo. Marmu again with a lot of tier 1 warrens, but I think that makes sense. We see that more and more in the modern meta. You know, it's not as safe as it used to be to try to just 8-farm double into an expansion or into a tier 2. A lot of times you do need to get that 3rd or even 4th tier 1 to prevent your opponent from just running over you with moles. And did Marmu scout the mill? He did not. Both players got a pretty good lay of the land. QQ gonna move forward here. Maybe try to apply some pressure. But he does see a lot of forces here from Marmu. But Marmu is sneaking out those chameleons. Chameleons do a great job on defense, especially against large numbers of tier 1. And QQ is going to respond in suit with some skunks. But I think the big story here is that QQ has the second base with 2 additional farms on it. So his economy's, you know, 20% stronger than his opponents right now. And that is definitely huge. QQ is going to come in and see no mill from his opponent. Probably be pretty happy about that. You know, with the skunks on defense, that should do a pretty good job. I'd start getting a little more worried if Marmu had like 4 chameleons, but this is still going to be a strong attack. Marmu's building the squirrels already, and QQ going for the double tier 2. This is very greedy, the triple tier 2. Oh man. QQ is playing insanely greedy here. If Marmu moves out and attacks, I'm not sure if QQ's going to be able to handle it. Marmu has scouted that he actually still hasn't scouted the second base, but he scouted the triple tier 2, man. And when you got moles like this, I mean, Marmu should be able to just punch through, unless QQ has an amazing defense. But no, QQ's not even home at the beginning of this combat. Marmu's going to push in and just target down this mill. He thinks that's all QQ has, but he does have that second mill. However, that is still a very fatal blow delivered here by Marmu. But QQ is actually still on this triple tier 2 setup. He's moving in for a counterattack here. He's got the snakes. One skunk immediately falls. These snakes up a little bit too far. Gonna knock out that chameleon. If QQ can keep these snakes alive, maybe he's got a chance. But no, they continue to fall here. And although QQ's got a nice second base going, Marmu does have the economic lead and will enjoy that at least for another minute or so before the main base farms start to go fallow. And snakes do have a lot of comeback potential, you know. If you micro well, you can get a lot of value. QQ committing to the engage here, trying to get that chameleon to reveal. Get 3 stacks of poison on 6. The chameleon definitely going to go down. QQ's got to keep these snakes alive. He really wants to sell off the skunk warren, probably. He just doesn't have the opportunity at the moment. And again, once that 5-minute mark hits, the economies are going to stabilize, but does Marmu have too much of a lead here? This is so many squirrels coming in. They're going to be able to chase down now that they hit this road. Oh, but Marmu's commander actually goes down. I don't know if that's going to be enough, though. QQ getting some okay trades here. And now that 5-minute mark hit, and Marmu's economy is starting to go down. Man, QQ really needs to sell off 1 or 2 of those tier 2 warrants and just produce as many squirrels as he can. He's moving in now. He's going to sell off both those. There he goes. I know he's been wanting to do it, but he's been too busy up on the front lines trying to micro there. Oh, man, QQ might be coming back here. You know, the longer this game goes, the less and less Marmu's main base economy is going to matter. Another farm bites the dust there. Does have a second base rolling. And yeah, QQ stabilized. Marmu's going to look around on the map, but, you know, Squirrel Snake versus Squirrel Cam. My money's on Squirrel Snake here. You know, those cams are not going to get the value that you're looking for once they get so many stacks of poison. You know, ideally those cams want to get in there, soak a bunch of damage, deal a bunch of damage, and escape to the shadows at the last second, but Snake Poison's just not going to let that happen. However, Marmu's not down and out yet. If this game stabilizes, he does have a chance, but QQ doesn't look like he's going to let that happen. He's built some moles. Oh, look at this trap for Marmu. Going to try to ambush here with the cams. It doesn't quite get the job done, and both cams fall. That might be the nail in the coffin for Marmu here. Let's see if he can get something done. He knows he's got to get some more damage in. Yeah, I like this maneuver. Don't commit to the full hit. Just come in, get some warrens, but he stayed a little bit too long there. QQ going to clean up all of these squirrels. And we might be heading into a 2-0 victory here for our Hopper player. Yeah, Marmu's probably going to tap. Oh, is this glitch? No, okay. Looks like he was thinking about tapping or something. But this should be it. You know, QQ's got the same amount of squirrels and a whole lot more. Marmu on his last stand here. Probably would have tapped out earlier if it was a ladder match, but you never know. Stays in till the end. And QQ's got a quick 2-0 victory. Or lead, rather. Let's see if Marmu can start bringing it back in game number 3. Alright, spawning in the left, we've got Marmu. And his opponent to the right, QQ. QQ actually keeping the same deck composition throughout here. Marmu making some adjustments. Changes things up pretty heavily here going into game number 3. Realizes QQ might be just too much of an aggressive player to try to rely on getting that tier 3 Warren, built and unit established. So looks like we were gonna see some mole shenanigans here. QQ got that ledge I was talking about earlier. This is kind of the ideal situation to try to do some sort of mole rushes and forces an overreaction out of Marmu there, and then just heads home and gets his way onto the 8 farms. Sometimes you do got to be careful about this. If you force your opponent to build Warrens, and all of a sudden they come in and attack you, you could be in bad shape, but Marmu decides to get farming anyways, so when all is said and done, we actually end up in the exact same spot, which is kind of funny. QQ feigning that he has Warrens at home with the rally here. Gonna use this mole to bully Marmu even further. Actually, Marmu sold right in time, so QQ is gonna lose a little bit of money from the sell on the moles there. Actually goes home, builds a Warren, keeps those moles here. Maybe thinking about bringing all 3 in for some fun. He is starting to commit, but he did build a Warren back at home. It's only 3 squirrels, however. He is going to get a Warren here. He's going to go for number 2. He should get that as well. The crit damage from the moles is just absolutely insane. Very good trade there for Marmu. Or for QQ, rather. And Marmu wants to counterattack, but he's just not in the position to do so. QQ's got plenty of squirrels at home. And Marmu is in a rough spot now. The game's not over quite yet, but definitely a good spot for QQ coming out of this early game. Maybe Marmu can get back into it, taking a defensive posture, getting out some defensive skunks, trying to get ahead on second base farms a little bit. But this map is so short, and QQ is such an aggressive player in this series. I really don't think we're going to see him let that happen. QQ already on the way here. He's got those toads. Marmu's probably not happy to see that. But these lizards might still be able to do something here. Good toad connections. But yeah, these lizards still clean it up. For the most part. Not going to be able to deal with these reinforcements, though. Defender's advantage is here for Marmu, but that is a double-edged sword, however. Because again, we see, as I was talking about earlier, once you start losing a Warren or 2 in these really cutthroat situations, it can snowball very, very fast. Marmu is going to defend. Ooh, he even gets that toad there. Very nice. But QQ's lead is just starting to compound here. Taking out that Warren was absolutely huge. Marmu's scrambling to produce whatever units he can. But QQ is going to keep the pressure on, moving forward, targeting down these lizards. He knows he just needs a split second to get some more Warrens. Yeah, there it was. And Marmu has to tap. And this might just be a quick 4-0 for QQ. Or maybe Marmu comes back with a reverse sweep. Let's see what happens in game number 4. Marmu on his last life here. Spawning to the left, we've got QQ. And up on the top right, Marmu. And I love this change out of QQ. It is a bit rough, right? Because he's won with the same deck 3 times in a row and the same aggressive strategy. And there is the mantra of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But QQ's got some wiggle room now, right? I mean, he's 3 games up in this series, so if he loses this match, it's no big deal. So QQ's trying to blindside Marmu here with a completely different strategy. Gonna try to utilize the lizards in the early game to gain map dominance, maybe make Marmu a bit scared, maybe make him turtle on his base, and then try to take a mill, like here, for example, get up a turret, get up some ferrets, and just win the game. Ooh, look at this. Marmu with the cell. Or, I'm sorry, QQ with the cell. Actually, Marmu did see that as he was burrowing home. Just slightly. And he's going to come back in. Going to build that mole warren. It's not going to be up in time, though. He desperately needs to go home and build some tier 1 warrens ASAP. You know, these lizards do enjoy that swift movement, so they'll be able to come over very, very quickly. All QQ needs is 2 to pick off a corner pig, and he's got him right here. Marmu is not ready. This might be another quick QQ win. This is so painful to deal with coming out of the early game. But Marmu's just going to have to take the loss and grit his teeth and bear it here. Again, this isn't the end of the world, but this is advantage to QQ. And sometimes in high-level play, you know, once one player gets that slight advantage, they know how to snowball that into the victory. But QQ doesn't have the moles, which are that victory snowballing unit. However, he's got other ways to win this game, but it's going to be more of a boa constrictor, you know, python chokehold here. Utilizing these turrets and maybe the ferrets, or perhaps he's just going to keep the pressure on with the lizards and hope to overwhelm his enemy. Lizards are a really unique unit in this game where just having them in the deck, you know, opens up this tech path of just spam lizards. QQ with a big engagement, but Marmu with a nice defense. This does slow down Marmu's farms a bit. And QQ traded okay there. Marmu does get the better trade. And, you know, just inching in a little bit of food to get back, you know, what he lost earlier. You know, these are ways that you can get back into the game. So QQ with a bit of a blundered attack there. However, keep in mind, he almost traded pound for pound. And he did slow down the farms. But QQ is still building his own 8th farm here. So I'm excited, man. I'm curious how Marmu is going to get back into this. On one hand, you know, he's got a lot of anti-lizard tools between the chameleons and the boar. But at the same time, you know, I'm waiting for that chokehold here from QQ. You know, all he's got to do is build a more forward mill, start throwing down a couple turrets, and suddenly Marmu's in a really rough spot. Yeah, here come the cams. I think that's the right choice for Marmu here. The cams do very nicely against the lizards, and it's going to be the fox. Very cool. Yeah, this deck from QQ, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. Marmu does see this turret, and that's a little bit suspicious. Oh, is he going to get the back wave? QQ really doesn't want him to get the scout off, and he does get the scout. One reason this turret was built is, of course, to as a deterrent against aggression, but I think the main reason QQ wanted that turret there was to try to prevent Marmu from coming in and getting that scout. So Marmu knows the fox is on the way. And he doesn't have a lot of those anti-fox tools you really, really want. He's thinking his best bet is going to try to come in here and bust down the front door before the fox is ready, but this is what the turrets are here for. You know, maybe Marmu can choose a better line of attack here. Maybe try to swing in this way and not fight directly underneath these turrets, but he's going to go for it. And man, this used to work better than it does now, but turrets on the current patch are a little bit stronger. However, Marmu is busting through. Oh man, this might actually work here. He's got some moles reinforcing. He's got the chameleons on the way. QQ just needs a few more seconds for the fox to pop, but even if he gets the fox, is it gonna be enough? The fox will do a good job of cleaning up the army as long as the army's not too large, but Marmu is gonna go home from here. All these emergency turrets QQ was building, I guess, made him decide to take it back to the house. He dealt some really strong damage, but now is QQ's chance to come in here and try to return the favor with some Fox Micro. Needs to be careful about the chameleon. Doesn't know about the chameleon. Taking some shots, you know, popping off these squirrels. Marmu's going to chase him down. He does have this little bit of water in the back, which is nice to help heal the fox really quickly, but a bit of a miss micro there from QQ. Not pulling the fox back quick enough, and that is going to be it. You know, with these fast fox strategies, you really got to keep that thing alive. And Marmu fighting back in game number 4, going to put a point up on the board. We got a series on our hands now, lads. All right. I almost went into the wrong game there. Here we go. Match number 5. Let's see if it was a fluke, or let's see if Marmu, spawning up here in the right, can turn this into a reverse sweep against his opponent on the left, QQ. This time around, Marmu is the one getting foxy. I like this comp from QQ. I think it's a really strong core. Outside of the boar pick, the boar, of course, is fine. That's not what I mean. But just the 5 other units he has there, you know, you can do some nice early game aggression with squirrel, mole, pigeon, skunk. You kind of transition into whatever tier 3 you're feeling into at the moment. Of course, both players utilizing these falcons just because they scale so nicely into the late game. This time around, Marmu is going to be the one to test QQ's how studious he is in this mole early game, and I think this reaction from QQ is just perfect. Marmu's going to have to pack it up and go home. We're going to go into 8 farms from here, so map kind of neat. I guess it's pretty even. I think I like it a bit better for Marmu since he's a little more bunched up there in the corner with his 3 bases. But QQ's got 3 bases. He's got high ground. Both players with high ground here. Marmu getting frisky again with some moles. Actually, ooh, damn. Gonna commit to try to get that mole warren down. But it backfires there. QQ gets his mole out. And this could be very, very bad for Marmu. He knows this warren is gonna go down. He just retreats with the 1 mole that he can. And now QQ, again, in this early game, has the advantage. And he even managed to sneak out some very fast skunks. I love the positioning with the skunk, by the way, on the high ground here, trying to hide what tier 2 that is from Marmu. Marmu's, like, foot barely stepped on this ramp, but I don't think it was enough to give him vision up top. So right now, Marmu is probably thinking these are cams. But now, though, he is going to see it is indeed skunks. Marmu's got a whole lot of tier 1 right now. And that, you know, as long as... I was a little bit worried if QQ decided for the mill. Yeah, I think he needs a couple more squirrels here. Skunks do very nicely against squirrels, of course, but if the opponent's just got way more than you, counters don't matter so much. So Marmu actually going to sell off one of the warrens, going to double tier 2. A really cool way to try to deal with single tier 2. And here's the YOLO Molo here. I don't know what Marmu was doing with that guy, but he's no longer in this world. So QQ did scout the double tier 2. He decides that is too greedy, my man. Gonna move in with these skunks. These skunks do a good job on offense as well as defense. They can sit here and start harassing, start laying down gas before the big fights actually start. But Marmu with the 4 falcons, if he can get the burst damage down on these skunks, he's going to be in great shape. But so much gas going down already. The falcons do the job of killing those skunks, but at what cost? Marmu with no boots left on the ground, losing a couple of those front warrens there. QQ already dealing some damage to the farms, and this might be GG here. Unless Marmu can just work some magic with these falcons, but he's in a desperate spot. Losing one right there might have been the end here for Marmu. He really needed all of those falcons. And QQ's just got such a dominant lead now. So many tier 1. Got the better economy. Marmu trying desperately to get up his 4 falcons here. Maybe hoping on defense. Maybe QQ overextends. But he just doesn't have the numbers to defend. Yeah, he needs more squirrels. He just doesn't have the money, though. Alright, QQ hedging his bets a little bit, saying, hey, if this attack doesn't work, I got my second base going. But this attack should work. Let's see, unless Marmu can really make some crazy stuff happen here with the Falcons. There's just so many squirrels on the ground that can target these things. Good micro from Marmu trying to back his Falcons up, but 2 already fall. Only 1 remains. And Marmu looks like he's going to lose this 4-1. Does get a point on the board, though. Not a clean sweep. This is going to be a GG. QQ with the 4-1 over Marmu. going to advance into the quarterfinals here. Okay, so we've got our second series coming up here for first place of the group. We've got Araloo fighting Melvin Fro. Gonna be a good match indeed. If I can spell. Araloo was definitely kind of the undisputed top dog during the mine meta. But the meta has shifted slightly. So let's see if Araloo can keep it rolling here. In match number 1. Alright, spawning on the bottom, we've got Melvin Fro. His opponent up top, Araloo. Only that single core tier 1 here from Melvin Fro. Always a bit risky to do that sort of thing. You can get ran over from your opponent if they're really railing down on a lot of tier 1 like moles and toads. But it does come with upside. You can fit additional things into your deck that normally you cannot. Falcon Skunk from both sides here. And a little bit of divergence from there. Maybe Araloo's thinking about Molin. Can't quite find the right spot. Maybe right there. No, it's gonna take it home. Looks like he did want to do some mole shenanigans, but again, that is just slightly dependent on the map. You know, like for example, if Melvin had moles, he really couldn't make it happen in this situation. And yeah, Araloo's gonna come in and pressure. This can just be a tempo hit to Melvin, forcing him to sell off this farm. Gonna wait for that last moment, though, to ensure Araloo does take some damage on that mole and loses a little bit of money. Ooh, actually, oh, yeah, loses a significant amount of money there. 18 food. This does delay Melvin's economy a little bit, so maybe that 18 food will be made up for that. I'm not sure exactly how that math works out. But 8 farm doubles into quick expos from both sides. So maybe we'll see more of a macro game here. A little bit of a risky opening, but they do commit to that third tier 1 before getting the farms. And Araloo actually going for 2 farms here. Let's see how Melvin reacts. He might just get a second and maybe even a third farm of his own. Another option would be to try to sell the farm that you have and build a whole bunch of tier 1, but I think typically you want a mole. You know, a couple moles while you're doing something like that. Moles are really the unit that helps punish the enemies for being greedy, because that window, you know, that attack window is just opened up so much more wide when you get that extra 10 seconds. And we've got a greed war here. I love these kind of games. These are some of my favorite to play personally. And it kind of makes sense, you know, this cabin in the middle a little bit dissuades a lot of aggression. That is going to slow you down ever so slightly. And again, a lot of aggressive strategies, especially at this level, do operate on very specific timings. So yeah, we got a full 8 farm saturation here from both sides on the second bases. Yeah, I guess that does make sense, Mocha, that Araloo did get a better end of that trade, losing the 18 food. Because he enjoyed his farm producing for quite a bit longer. What is it? Is it a minute to build a farm? I should know these things, and I don't. I think it's a minute, right? So if it is a minute, then yeah, that means he got an extra 38 food out of it. But that will matter less and less. 30 seconds? Yeah, 30 seconds. So that means an extra 12 food. Yeah, after, I agree with Premium Bow. After the farms fallow, then it is an advantage for Melvin. But until then, it's a 12 food advantage for Araloo. Again, kind of insignificant, but always fun to think about those sorts of things. And so much tech coming out of both sides here. Lots of tier 2 Warrens. Melvin even trying to get this third base, even going for the boar. So many cabins around, man. That's kind of cool. A little bit of natural defense. And by the time these players wipe these out, they're you know, the damage is going to be negligible. And we're kind of playing a game of deck composition now rather than build order. You know, who's got the better deck for the big engagement, the big death ball engagements here. Both players working on third bases. Araloo's seen the tier 3. If he hadn't before, he does see it now. He knows a boar is on the way. And he's just going to jack up that Falcon count in response. Doesn't go for the Owl. Owl, a little bit of a niche unit here. Does get kind of, you know, the boar does well against it. The Badger does well against it. Really, the Fox is the one thing the Owl does very nicely against. But the Owl does also enjoy the hyper late game, right? You know, it's going to stack better than any of the tier 3. But I do like this decision from Araloo to not go for Owls here. He just wants to target down this boar very quickly. There are pigeons to help heal this. And an enormous engagement coming out here. It looks like Melvin's starting to crush through. Oh, man. Melvin railing it. He is committing with his attack, though. Araloo is targeting down, trying to target down what he can. The boar does fall. But Melvin might just have enough left over here. Taking out that third base is absolutely huge. Melvin, the king of greed, already has his third base basically fully saturated. Looks like he's going to commit to that second boar as well. I like that sell on the tier 1. Go ahead and get that cooking as fast as you can. And Araloo looks like he's getting ready for a desperation attack, but you know, I think that trade was just too advantageous for Melvin. Yeah, the army's kind of shifted, you know, relatively evenly, but knocking out that third base, you know, huge economic hit. But Melvin is investing in the boar, so maybe Araloo's got enough tier 2 here to return the favor and get some counter damage done. Does Araloo just bust through before the boar is ready? It looks like he might. Oh man, all these snakes wiping out these cams. It looks like a couple of them, yeah, just one of them barely. Oh no, that one goes down too. Some good damage dealt there from Araloo, but not the killing blow he was looking for. Yeah, he got some farms, but the third base is large and in charge for Melvin. Araloo is going to come in and not be happy to see how saturated up that third base is. Melvin's got his boar again. Araloo still has plenty of falcons in the sky. Plenty of chameleons on the ground to be the frontliners here. And I think Melvin really wants to take this attack where this boar can get structure damage going. You know, boar, again, one of these units that deals additional damage to structures, so Araloo looking for that perfect engagement. He needs to be careful. If these snakes start hitting all his tier 2, that could be a bad time. But all this skunk gas going in, trying to deal some AoE damage. Neither player with a ton of tier 1. It's mostly tier 2 at this point. But yeah, this is the angle Melvin's looking for. He wants to take the engagement on the opponent's gristmill, so the flamethrower not only hits the units, but also hits that third base. But Araloo pushes him back just slightly. However, this boar is going to muscle his way through. Araloo doesn't have the amount of falcons left over that he needs, and I think maybe this third base going down is just going to be it for Araloo. He knows it, and he's going to tap out, and Melvin putting the first point on the board. All right, let's hop into match number 2. Spawning on the right. Off a fresh victory, we've got Melvin Fro with the same deck and his opponent over to the left, Erlu. Swapping out the owl for the wolf. I like the wolf pick a little bit better. You know, adds a lot of direct punch to the army. The owls are nice, but I don't think they're as good in the current meta, to be honest. You know, they take a lot of time to get value, which, you know, everything right now is just so punchy. You really need something that's going to get in there and really boost the DPS of your party immediately. Oh, Melvin Fro, a little bit of a fake out. Actually, no, he's just responding to that quicker warrant from Erlu. But Erlu sells it off. Okay, good play from Erlu. If this was a lizard warren from Melvin, I would be worried for Erlu because the 2 lizards get over there and knock out a pig. But since these are squirrels, they might take just long enough to get over to Erlu's side of the map where he's going to have his own squirrels up in time. So, yeah, especially with Melvin queuing up that farm, blocking that tier 1 production. It is not going to happen. Map does look better for Erlu, but not by much. You know, Melvin's got a nice 3 bases, and again, that's really all you can ask for. Sure, Erlu does have 4, but it's very, very rare we do see games go that economic. But hey, maybe with these players we might. You know, last time around it was basically a rush to 16 farms. Are we going to see that again? You know, there were reasons for that last game, though. The map, you know, had that little valley in between that made it difficult to attack. Of course, there was that cabin that slows down things. But I think in general, maybe that's the strategy these guys are tending to go for. Melvin with so much food here. Okay, gonna come home and start spinning it. I was like, is he gonna try to take a quick tier 3? But no, I gotta calm down. Second base is up and running here. Tier 2 on the way for Melvin. Erlu probably going to get this scout. This is a big scout for Erlu because he's going to see the second base. He doesn't see any farms yet. Oh, he actually doesn't see the tier 2. Scouting the tier 2 at that point in time would have been huge. Because then all he would need to do is see if Melvin committed to some farms as well, and he could have all-in with moles and maybe just one. But no, Erlu going to go for his own tier 2. Does see the tier 2 from Melvin now. Does see the single farm. So pretty mirror builds here. I think Erlu with a bit of an edge. You know, his farm got out a little bit faster. Melvin will have the faster tier 2, but that's probably not going to matter. However, this is nice for Melvin. Just exploding down on the second base with more and more farms. These players not afraid to be greedy. Erlu is pretty much in the same spot, but he's opting to get that second tier 2. So yeah, I mean, both these guys are arriving at the same destination, just taking different buses there, you know. I think we're going to see all these tier 2 out before any big engagements happen. I think both players in a bit of a gentleman's agreement here, just kind of hanging out, saturating up those second bases, trying to be greedy, but play on that verge of, you know, I'm just safe enough to where you can't mole all in me and kill me. Speaking of mole all ins here, Erlu throwing down some warrens. Is he going to go for the third one? Yeah, he wants to get a little spicy here. I don't know if this is going to work. Melvin's got some snakes, which can help deal with these cams. But there is that advantage of attacking in. Knocking out warrens like we saw there. But Erlu lost the chameleon in that engagement. Melvin not losing any tier 2 at all. And even chases down with a bit of a counter attack there. Grabs a couple more tier 1 for free. So, yeah, Erlu did get that warren. But Melvin might have taken the better trade, since he did get the tier 2. He did chase down a couple extra tier 1. And Melvin going to head right on into that boar. Erlu matching, though, with the wolf. I think they threw these units down. Yeah, both those tier 3 warrens. thrown down at like the exact same time. So not really a response from either player, but both players kind of recognizing this is about when, you know, it's safe to take a tier 3. Airlu is going to come in, see the tier 3, see the fully saturated second base. Probably be fine with it. You know, he just needs to go home, build a couple more Falcons, maybe sell down a Squirrel. Even going to get that third base going. I like this third base a lot from Airlu, actually. Because he's anticipating, you know, the Boar is more of a build it and go unit than the Wolf, right? The Wolf can hang out, it can you know, buff the Warrens to produce faster, it can buff the farms to get more money. But the Boar is typically one of those things where once you get it, we want to get in and try to put on the pain. And Airlu, by taking this third base, he's hoping that the fight is going to happen here. You know, and it's almost like a sacrificial lamb. He doesn't want the fight to happen on his Warrens, on his actual resources. So I like that a lot. So much tier 2 coming down from both sides here. And the Boar is here. You know, Melvin doesn't necessarily have to go right here, right now. It's just pretty common. It's what we tend to see with the Boar. You at least want to go poke and say hi. But the attack has not came yet. Airlu building up more and more Cam Falcon. Melvin does get in. Actually, is this the first time Melvin scouted the tier 3? It might have been. I wasn't keeping close enough attention there. And, dude, Wolf buffed Cam and Falcon is insane. Absolutely insane. Really solid army comp. So my gut tells me I like Airlu's army better here, but you never know, man. With units like snakes in the back, just stacking up poison, before you know it, all of a sudden, a lot of the key tier 2 is gone, the Wolf is down. You know, this might just come down to the engagement. You know, who can target fire down with their Falcons better. Which tier 2 kind of just get bopped immediately, you know. Do you run the risk of targeting with your Falcons, or do you try to keep them in the back where they're a little bit safer? Airlu's looking ready to roll. Moving his army out in the map. He's going to start this attack. Melvin Fro's not at home, just going to immediately start losing Warrens. And here we go, the big engagement coming on in. Both players being a little bit defensive with their commander positioning. Airlu needs to be careful. This kills me all the time. Getting so many poison stacks on the commander. The commander goes down. No. Oh, that is the worst feeling in this game, man. Absolutely barbaric. Melvin cleans it up, but Melvin loses a lot as well. However, his third base is rocking and rolling a little bit harder here. Airlu sells off the Wolf, sells down some tier 2. He's going to try to get together whatever he can for the counterattack. And man, Melvin, you know, delaying the farms in the second base. Yeah, I was going to say, it feels weird that he's that many farms ahead. And a couple of those second base farms just fallow out now. So the farm count is a little bit more even here. And man, if Airlu's commander didn't go down there, I think he would have just punched through. So very, very good for Melvin. That Airlu was being a little bit too greedy with his commander, trying to target fire down. Always got to be careful, man. When those snakes start stacking that poison on your commander, before you know it, you are dead and your army is fish in a barrel. All right, Airlu's mustered back up what he can. He's not going to be happy to see this Boar from Melvin, though, when he did not commit to his own additional tier 3. Here we go, another big fight coming in. And is Melvin going to stand strong, or does Airlu have just enough? It looks like Melvin is winning this engagement. All the tier 2 falling. Melvin still got the Boar. He's got pigeons. He's primed for the counterattack. Airlu knows what's up. And Melvin with the 2-0 lead here. Large and in charge. Piloting the Boar to victory in both games. All right, match number 3. Let's get into it. Spawning on the left, we've got Melvin Fro. His opponent to the right, Araloo. Araloo with some slight adjustments to the deck. But Melvin Fro keeping the same one. And, you know, it's a bit counterintuitive sometimes in best of sevens, but man, you know, that can be the right strat, right? If you're really good with one deck, why not play at your best? There is that nice element of surprise, you know, sneaking in an artillery cannon or maybe a fox or something crazy like that, but hey man, if you got a solid deck that you think works in the meta, there is nothing wrong with committing to it. And I think Melvin's deck is really good. No deck is completely bulletproof. I think Melvin's deck is a little bit weak to things like lizards, things like foxes. But other than that, he's in pretty good shape. Like, he does have the boar for lizards if you can get to that late game. You know, snakes can make it happen against fox, but it's definitely easier said than done. Very quick second base here from Araloo. He's not screwing around. Maybe he's recognized that Melvin is playing the same deck, that Melvin doesn't have moles. You know, you can punish this if you have moles, but if you don't, there's nothing you can do about it. But Melvin is going to take a second base very quickly as well. The only difference is he took his tier 1 Warren first, so Araloo's going to get to build his farms just a little bit faster here. You know, by the time Melvin's throwing down farms, Araloo's already going to have 2 up and running, so that is a nice little advantage. But Melvin does get a nice scout in, knows exactly how many farms to build. Realizes Araloo is macroing pretty hard. I love that sell on the tier 1 Warren and rebuild just to get that cute farm going a bit faster. Another greedy game here. Really different than the first series. You know, the first series was very in-your-face, action-packed, lots of tier 1, lots of structure crit-heavy units like moles and toads. But these guys are a little bit more of a gentleman's agreement. They like to get their second bases up and running. They like to go very heavy on the tier 2. And I don't know if I agree with the snake decision here from Araloo. You know, it is nice. He is getting a little bit defeated by this boar. Maybe, I think it might have been emotional because his commander died to the snakes. You know, maybe I'm thinking about it too hard. Trying to make too much of a storyline here. But I think the wolf was good, man. I think Araloo did have the better late game army with the Wolfcam Falcon. You know, he just lost his commander in a very bad time. But Araloo gonna punish Melvin for being greedy this match. He does have the moles. And he's gonna show you how it's done. Comes in here, gets a couple farms. Not gonna overcommit, gonna pack it up and go home. He needs to be careful, though, because he actually doesn't have, like, any Warrens at all at home. If Melvin counterattacks, Araloo could be in a rough spot, and he knows that he's building the Desperation Moles to defend. But no, Melvin is not going to counterattack. Instead, he's just going to go right up to the boar. Really, really good decision-making here from Melvin. Man, he tricked me, too, because the way he's moving his army, he was like, all right, dude, I'm coming at you. But no, Araloo is going to build all this tier 1. Which is walking right into what Melvin wants him to do. And where is that sneaky tier 3 Warren? There it is back there in the brush. Araloo not going to quite get far enough to scout it. But Araloo does have snakes coming. So this snake-skunk combination might get the job done if he can get those snake stacks onto the board quickly. You know, he's got his skunks to deal his own AoE damage. And he's got the snakes to assassinate the boar. Still a very economy-heavy game. Third base up and running here from Araloo. No third base yet from Melvin, but he did invest in that big tier 3. Now it's scouted by Araloo. I was wondering if maybe he'd run in the corner and build a mole warren. That's always the worst. Let's see, man. On paper, these snakes should do well against the boar. Melvin does have the pigeons. So much tier 2 here from Araloo. Makes perfect sense, though. He knows the boar is on the way. But he's going to have enough time to get all of this tier 2 up. He's got Falcon. He's got Snake. Both things great to deal with the Flame Daddy. So many snakes here. Full third base saturation from Melvin. Very bold. Airlu's going to come in for the push. Tons of poison on that boar immediately. Airlu going to back out. The job done. The boar dealt with. But Melvin's already rebuilding it, and Melvin does have the economic lead. Airlu knows it. And Melvin even kind of took the better trade there, you know. But on this follow-up attack, Melvin doesn't have the boar to slow things down. Airlu looking to punish this greedy third base saturation here. Let's see if it'll happen or if Melvin can hold strong. Looks like Airlu's starting to bust through. Good snake micro from Melvin trying to poison down all these tier 2 units, but it's just not going to be enough. Airlu slamming down, going to get the kill on that third base. Melvin knows that's going to be it. Airlu putting a point on the board. Let's hop into game number 4, guys. Spawning on the right, we've got Melvin Fro. And opponent to the left, Airlu. Alright, Melvin's been keeping the same deck every game. Airlu's been making slight adjustments. And now Airlu thinks he's got the right combination of units here to get the job done. Actually, Melvin Fro dropped the boar. My mistake. In favor of Chameleon, I believe? Chameleon or Skunk? So, almost mirror decks here. The only difference, Melvin with the pigeons, Airlu with the moles. The moles allowing you to hit those windows that otherwise you could not. But the pigeons can be really relevant in the later stages of the game, where they will really negate the snake poison, and they'll also give Melvin a lot of sustainability and prolonged skirmishes. We've got an 8-farm opening for both sides. Again, Airlu gonna try to do this 8-farm mole and try to get that little bit of the lead from forcing Melvin to sell the pick. Yeah, much better that time around. Airlu didn't take quite as much damage on that mole. I think he sold it for 16. Airlu enjoying just a slight lead here in the early game. But nothing super significant. Oh, look at this. Airlu showing his second base and then selling it. He's going to be very happy to see Melvin. He's got his second base up and running. He's got a farm. Melvin needs to sell that farm and build tier 1 ASAP. It's always rough in that position, right? Because you're really tempted to keep that farm. Because it's like, man, if I hold on, I got this extra farm. But no. Melvin with the right call there. Selling that off. He knows what Airlu is up to. And will this work? You know, these moles, very good at this sort of thing. Because you get basically an extra 10 seconds per mole warren. And once you engage on warrens like this and target them down, the snowball effect begins to happen. Airlu knocking out 3 farms and a warren because of these moles here. And that might be critical damage. Most likely critical damage, but Melvin is gonna try and see if he can get it done, but it's just not gonna happen. Airlu with too much here. These moles, the supreme masters of the early game. Melvin is gonna hold. This is a tournament match. You might as well Try to play it out. But really losing those 3 farms there, I mean, if you lost a Warren, you know, maybe you can come back from that, but I really feel like the 3 farms is just too much damage on top of it. And if Airlu just keeps doing this, yeah, you see, like, sure, Melvin pushes him back, but Airlu comes in, he trades, he's got more money, and he kills a Warren. You know, wait for some more moles, rinse and repeat, and eventually Melvin dies. Yeah, and that's it. Melvin gonna tap. Airlu tying things up here. On the back of a little bit of a bait and switch on the quick expansion into moles. I think that was pretty smart. You know, every game's been very eco-heavy, so I don't think it was out of character, you know, to see that quick mill. But alright, let's move on to game number 5 here. Spawning on the right, we've got Airlu. Spawning to the left, Melvin. Alright, this is a map, ladies and gentlemen. Looks a little bit favored for Melvin, but probably won't even matter. I highly doubt we'll see 3 bases here. If we get to the 3 base phase of the game, though, this is not good for Airlu. But the rush distances are very small. Both players have that kind of pocket expansion, you know, further away from their opponents. Ooh, the 5 farm Warren here for Melvin gets scouted by Airlu. And he doesn't have the money to do the cheese mole right next to it, you know. Airlu gonna come in and just make sure Melvin's committing to this. He does see it. Melvin not committing super hard though. He did block the squirrel production there at the queued farm. So this response from Airlu just fine. He's gonna play 1 farm ahead. And I don't think Melvin's going to get there in time to get anything done. Even with this short rush distance. Specifically because he's been blocking his squirrels with the queued farms. Maybe if he didn't, he would have like 2 squirrels right now and he could try something. But yeah, the window is closed. Ooh, look at this. Airlu. Feeling froggy again. He really wants to punish Melvin for not taking moles. Yeah, the modern moles have been figured out so well, you can really punish your opponent. But Airlu just doesn't have enough to back this up. He needs to come home and build some more squirrels. And I'm gonna grab that second base from both sides. Coming down at like the exact same position. Or time, rather. So yeah, let's see how they want to play it out. Pretty even so far. Airlu jumping ahead just slightly with 2 farms. And he's going to follow this up with an attack. Ooh, 3 farms, actually. Might be biting off more than he can chew, though. And Melvin's got plenty in response here. Matches and farms. Ooh. Oh, man, that could have been bad. Selling off that Warren there. Just to rebuild it. Kind of surprised by that. I figured he'd sell it off to maybe get like a fast tier 2 or something. Both players going to come in for some more scouting, but pretty mirrored thus far. Just a lot of tier 1, lots of farms. What's going to be the first tier 2? Maybe skunks, you know, since your opponents are building so much tier 1, or we might not see tier 2 at all. Because again, Airlu is going to try to leverage these moles into a fast win, and Melvin doesn't see the mole. Oh yeah, he does actually. He must have stepped on that ramp while he's moving in. Airlu's going to try to come in and slam dunk again. All he really needs is for these moles to connect with the Warrens and he can start snowballing. 1 Warren falls already. Now Airlu is turning his sights to the units of Melvin and he's going to take it home for now. Re-rally and probably keep the pressure on. And Melvin has so many tier 1 Warrens. And I'd love to see a counterattack. You know, that is like the downside of playing moles. so aggressively is now all of a sudden Erlu just doesn't have anything. So if Melvin moves in, right here, right now with all his units, maybe he could try, but no, instead gonna saturate up, gonna follow suit, gonna transition into tier 2. Both sides doing well with the scouting here. Triple tier 2 on Erlu's side, double for Melvin. No tier 3 here. Very, very similar comps. And I think in the later game, well, it's hard to say really, right? I feel like in the later game, maybe the pigeons are better. But it's always hard to judge because the moles, you know, once they get up on a structure, you know, things just start getting hammered down so quickly, and that can really, really matter. So maybe it depends on where the engagement is. You know, maybe if Melvin's attacking, he's got the advantage with the pigeons, right? Because he's getting healing outside of his territory, and those moles really not getting that value they're looking for. On the flip side, if Erlu's attacking, he's got the advantage, because the moles will start connecting on warrens and knocking down reinforcement capabilities. Look at this Erlu trying to take the north of the map. And Melvin cannot just sit around and let this happen. This is what I was kind of looking forward to with this map, was these two bases so close up here. You know, this is going to be really the catalyst that's going to force a move. You know, you can't sit here and do nothing forever. And here comes Erlu, and he's got those moles on offense. Already a couple warrens falling. And Erlu just smashing in so far. It looks like Melvin is going to push him back, though. These pigeons helping to deal with some of this snake poison. And yeah, Erlu trades, but keep in mind, he traded, but he also got 3 tier 1 warrens, a tier 2 warren. He's got that third base established. These main bases starting to mine out here shortly. And this is a tough position for Melvin, man. He does not want to be on the defensive against moles like this. They just kill structures so fast. He's got like no tier 1 left. And now Melvin's stuck in between a rock and a hard place because he knows Erlu's got this third base. He knows the longer this goes on, the more Erlu feels confident to place a farm or two every now and then. And then all of a sudden, he's miles behind economically. But Erlu is not in the business of sitting around either. More mole warrens on the way. He's pushing in for another big attack here. And I don't think Melvin's got enough to defend this. Let's see. Big attack slamming in. Melvin really trying to micro with these snakes. You know, target down as many units as possible. And he does actually clean this up very nicely. Now Erlu's in trouble from this counterattack. He's going to have to pack everything up he invested in up here to go home. And this is huge for Melvin. Now Melvin can take the third base and put Erlu in that exact same position. It's a very, very good hold there. I think I want to chalk that up to Melvin's snake micro. I was noticing his commander really in the fray there, targeting down all the various tier 2 as quickly as he could, you know, trying to get a stack or two of poison on each. Erlu does have this campfire down here cooking. Melvin thinking about trying to take it out with the cams, but Erlu knows better. And what is the plan for Melvin? He doesn't seem interested in trying to win this game in the long haul by securing those northern grist mills. It looks like he's just trying to rally up as much as he can and try to win. I think he's feeling confident since he won that last engagement so convincingly. Erlu going to run up here. Probably a little bit surprised he doesn't see Melvin claiming this area. Going to go ahead and grab that mill. These 4 snakes, they are really good against tier 2. Airlu posturing. Thinking about the commitment. He's gonna come in. And again, we can see Melvin's commander in the fray trying to target everything down with the snakes as quickly as he can. But Airlu is also following suit. However, Airlu's army gets cleaned up again. And I think that was Airlu's last life there. Melvin gonna push in. Both players down to starvation. Airlu does have that campfire in the bottom, though. And Melvin actually needs a win right here, right now. He doesn't have any farms left. He doesn't have another gristmill. So if he doesn't just end this game before he starves, Airlu might take a very unconventional victory here. If Airlu could just hold on. Oh my god, Airlu's gonna win this. Like, Melvin's got 6 seconds to build a mill. He can't even take this campfire and grab it. He doesn't have the money. Airlu's gonna win in the starvation game. Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter, though. Had a little hype there for a second, but of course, Airlu still has his mills. So his starvation counter is so much higher. And that is it. Airlu is gonna win a very action-packed match. Oh, wait. Oh, Melvin did get the campfire, just barely. Oh, my God. Melvin. Airlu on starvation, but he does have the 3rd base up here. Dude, I can't believe Melvin got that campfire. That's insane. He doesn't know about the 3rd base, but he's got to know about it even though he hasn't seen it, right? Otherwise, Airlu would be starving. Alright, but that campfire was... Wait. Oh, Airlu tapped. Okay. Okay. Woo! Man, that was a close one. Melvin barely eked it out there at the end. I do feel like Melvin should have won that game, though. You know, if Airlu got that win, it would have been pretty awesome for Airlu, but a little bit of a stolen map. If Melvin did end up starving out, so... Damn, I can't believe Melvin barely got that campfire in time. That's awesome. Are we going to go all the way to game number 7? Let's find out in match number 6. Spawning on the bottom left, we've got Melvin. His opponent up top to the right's Airlu. Again, both players grabbing same compositions here. Map is looking, I'd say, slightly Melvin favored. He's a little bit more bunched up with his 4 bases, but Airlu does have 4 bases too. However, the problem is once Melvin starts getting this territory really locked in, he's got this high ground here. It's going to be difficult for Airlu to really secure these other 2 bases. So I'm curious how Airlu wants to play this out. On the one hand, you can get actually both players. This is really cool, actually. I'm really looking forward to the decision making on which second base gets taken here, because on the one hand, you can take this back base. Either player's got that option. It's difficult to scout, number 1. Obviously, very safe, number 2. However, you could muscle for position on the map early and think about the later game. Airlu, a bit of mole shenanigans back here, but gonna pull back on it. Right, and it does look like they are gonna go for the safer options. So I was kind of excited to see if either player would take one of these more forward bases, because once you secure either one of these, positionally, you've secured all 4 of your bases. You know what I mean? But it is risky. You know, and I think I would have liked to see Airlu do it, and maybe not necessarily Melvin, because Melvin should know Airlu has the moles, so, you know, attacking spread out bases like this for moles is a walk in the park. But I'm just worried when we get to 3rd base, you know, Melvin secures this area, it is going to be very rough for Airlu on the low ground right there. So, again, lots of tier 1 here in the early game. I think that's the right approach when you're trying to be greedy. You can't do everything at once, right? You don't want to be taking a second base and a couple farms and a tier 2. Unless there are instances of that. You know, maybe the map is just crazy large. Maybe you've got a really, really defensible position. A lot of times, you want to, you know, build up those 3 or so tier 1 Warrens. Start saturating the second base. Scout out your opponent. See how greedy they're being. Try to be one step ahead. And we see both players doing exactly that here. So, again, a very even early game. We're going to start transitioning into the mid-game here shortly. And really, the big thing I'm looking out for here is just if Airlu ever decides to pull the trigger with moles, right? Because if that's not the case, then both players are going to start getting, you know, tier 2 going, start maybe selling off a little bit of the tier 1, transition into 2, 3, 4 tier 2 Warrens, get that third base up and running. And we see first tier 2 coming down from Airlu. Skunks makes a lot of sense. You know, Airlu does have the opportunity once these 2 Skunks get out, if Melvin is still on a whole bunch of tier 1, to maybe try to push him with moles, but there we go. There's Melvin's own Skunks. And double tier 2, triple tier 2 here. We are just in a greed war now. Quadruple tier 2 from Airlu. And you got these big, bulky economies once you're up to 16 farms. You know, you can really justify this kind of thing. And Airlu's going to take the third base up there on the high ground. Realizing, you know, this fourth base position here on this low ground, going to be very difficult. He doesn't want to give Melvin an easy target to attack into. And I'm sure what both players are really looking for here, of course, what's the flavor of the tier 2 coming out from the enemy? Is there some sort of tier 3 on the way? Is there a third base? If so, how many farms on the third base? Melvin going to come in again. Let's see about what he'd expect. Doesn't get the deep scout that he was looking for. And Airlu going to take a little bit of a look around, but kind of the same thing. It gets more and more difficult to scout at these phases of the game, you know, because the armies are just so big. The commanders tend to die very quickly. So much tier 2 from both sides. Third base is up and running. Airlu is got a little bit of the edge there on the third bases. I love these like cells of the tier 1 into the tier 2, you know, as the skunk count increases, as the chameleon count increases. Those squirrels less and less relevant. You do need to keep a handful of squirrels. You don't want to go down too low. And these guys are probably interested in the rate of the third base farming here. Melvin going to go take a peek. See, all right, just one farm. But right after he leaves, Airlu throwing down a few more. And we've got a little bit of a Cold War situation going on here. Both players building up to these Death Ball armies. Big, huge economies. This can always be a lot of fun if one person doesn't just straight up win, you know, in the big engagement. That can be cool, too, because that's pretty hyped, you know, slamming through. But we've got such similar army comps here. Airlu actually not getting any snakes at all. Instead, opting for the cams, for the falcons. Wants a more punchy army. And I think that's Airlu's plan. He wants to deliver, you know, the killing blow, One Punch Man style. But yeah, the thought I was having earlier is like, it is really fun when the game doesn't end when these big death balls collide, because then I love the decision making on what you go home and sell, you know. What you think the comp is that you need for the follow-up attacks. Airlu's posturing. He's got a healthier third base economy to help reinforce the next wave. Here's the big attack. Again, we see Melvin with the snake poison, but Airlu, no snakes this time, just hoping he can ram through with Cam Falcon. It looks like he does a good job of it, but he wants to go home and keep these chameleons alive. I think that went very nicely for Airlu. I think he pulled back at just the right time to keep all the chameleons alive so they didn't die to snake poison. And he's got the better third base, so, you know, Airlu can really just, you know, hit the gas pedal here. And this follow-up attack is going to be dicey. Melvin is getting this economy up and running now, but, you know, that's not helping him with the reinforcement for the second wave. But according to the army charts, Melvin is keeping up. So Airlu looking ready for round number 2 here. Both players with such a healthy economy, they really didn't have to sell off anything. And also the fight didn't go down to the last man. You know, Airlu pulled back, trying to save the chameleons. Here we go, the next big engagement happening. And these snakes are kind of cool on paper, but they just don't have the raw DPS to stop these chameleons from smashing through. Airlu has got the download on Melvin's style. Realizing he doesn't want to play the snake game here. He just wants to pound through so quickly that snake poison damage, you know, just isn't out fast enough. And takes that engagement very considerably. And here we go to end the stream tonight. We do have that hype 7th match here. So let's hop into it and see who advances in first place out of the group stage. So on the bottom left, we've got Airlu. And up top, Melvin. Yeah, I love that decision making from Airlu last game to ditch the snakes in favor of more chameleons to just have a more bruiser heavy army, right? However, it looks like he's not quite willing to give those snakes up completely for something like the wolf. He wants that Swiss Army knife capability in his deck, just in case Melvin is trying to do something like go for a board. You never know in this last game here. Let's see if Melvin or if Airlu decides for a little bit of molage. Doesn't look like it, at least not yet. I really like that delayed 8th farm mole, to be honest. Because even if all you get out of it is forcing your opponent to sell off their farm, I mean, that's a nice, you know, 30 food advantage. At least until the main bases mine out, you know. But no, just some 8 farm into a warren here. Now this is a map. Like, a lot of the maps we've seen so far have been pretty balanced and pretty obvious on what my territory is and what your territory is, right? But this one is really awkward. You know, whoever gets this, if somebody gets this mill here in the middle, it's a shame nobody has, like, turrets or something, because that could be incredibly abusive on this map. But this is weird, right? Like, do you expand right? Yeah, that looks like what Airlu wants to do. Melvin could be more conservative. I think this double high ground mill might be a bit of a bait, you know? Like, it could be nice for a push, I guess, just to utilize it for tanking. But there's just no way. Like, if either one of the players was able to secure this base, like, they just win. That's just too much map advantage. Airlu's gonna expand to the right. Melvin maybe to the left. I'm curious what Melvin's expansion choice is gonna be this game. He's got a lot of options here. I guess this map does look good for Melvin, right? Like, Airlu's main is on this low ground here. Melvin can attack from the double high. Melvin's just got like a ring of gristmills around his main base. But it's not totally unplayable for Airlu. He does have plenty of mills heading towards the 3 o'clock position. But yeah, Melvin, no economic play here at all. He's just gonna try to win hard and heavy with a big squirrel attack. He's moving in the front. Airlu's gonna lose a pig immediately. No, Melvin doesn't commit. He pulls back. Gonna wait for just a few more squirrels. Man, I would have loved to see Melvin at least commit to kill that pig. Does he know about the second base? He does. He doesn't know if Airlu actually committed any farms, but Airlu did commit a farm, so if Airlu holds this off without taking too many losses, Airlu's in a good spot, and it looks like he just might. Airlu not overly greedy here, just committed to the 1 farm, and outside of that, a whole bunch of tier 1, and he shoves Melvin away. Melvin in a horrible position now. He needs to expand. He needs to just kind of lick his wounds and move on into the mid-game, I think. But Airlu is not going to sit around and let that happen. He knows he just took a really big win. He's got some moles. He's going to probably build another mole warren here. Yeah, there's the expansion from Melvin. It's just, he kind of has to do it, you know. Melvin gets that deep scout off. I don't think he saw the tier 2. That actually would have been really important. Because then he knows Airlu is going to give him some breathing room. But no, Melvin is in a hot spot here. He's kind of got to continue to commit to tier 1 because he's worried about the big attack from Airlu. And this is kind of just walking right into Airlu's hands. The first skunk is almost here. Once Airlu's got 2 skunks out, he can reinforce with a bunch of moles and swing in for the win. I mean, this amount of squirrels will fall very, very quickly to skunks. But it does depend on the engagement. If Airlu just derps out there with the skunks, they can die. I've lost games like that. But Airlu is too good of a player to do something like that. And actually just going to move out with the 1 skunk. Just going to start rallying for position here on the map. Not hard engaging. Love to see maybe a tank mill. I don't know if it's even worth the 60 food. Maybe you'd rather just throw down another mole warren. He's kind of dancing around with his units, waiting for that second skunk to join the fray. And now Melvin is stuck. He never scouted that tier 2 warren, so he's just got a whole bunch of squirrels here against all the squirrels from Airlu, plus the skunks as well. This looks hopeless for Melvin. He's desperately trying to get up his own tier 2, but it's not going to be here in time. Airlu pushing through. He's got the moles here to deal that extra damage to the warrens. The warrens begin to fall. And Airlu doesn't even have to re-rally. He's just going to continue pushing units forward. Just the single attack. And bam, there it is. Airlu with the 4-3 victory. Exciting games tonight. I love how we saw very different play style from the 2 sets, you know. The matches with QQ and Marmu were very, very aggressive. Airlu and Melvin, a little bit more macro-oriented. So, all right, everybody, that is it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time. Have a wonderful weekend. I will as well. I got some food waiting on me, so I am ready to roll. So, take care, everybody. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Very well played from all our players there, and I will see y'all next time.